guys, here we are in the great outdoors, the Parkinson's Walk Studio, formerly known as Mrs. Parkinson's Walk Summer House Cum Shed. I expect we should get kicked out before long, in mind. Right, Michael, this is all down to Michael from Poland, who thought he'd like to see us on the outside today. I tried the great outdoors because the sun is shining. It was a beautiful day, but it's rather chilly, I'm afraid, so being the wimp that I am, here we are, sort of semi-outdoors. Right, in actual fact, talking of Michael then, I hope things are alright where you are in Poland there, Michael. It's looking a bit dubious in your area at the moment, isn't it? Crikey, keep safe. Michael says, the channel has brought together like-minded people who contribute each week. Makes me feel I have friends from around the world. Yeah. I hope a few more of you feel that way. I certainly do. We're all family here, aren't we? There's a place for the safe expression of views and thoughts. We won't agree with you being a family, but we'll listen. Sumac MacArthur, who is our gallant channel mascot. Morning, Sumac. Sorry. She says, hi Ron. I'm no longer on coffee duty. Apparently I messed up the amount of cream once too often. James knows you're a dog, right? What do you like, James? Oh dear. Right, looking at the vlog, the last vlog, which had the viaduct in it, the Cornish viaduct, wonderful structure. Lionel and Mary travels, and Lionel writes, whoa, what a beautiful viaduct. It certainly was. When you see the craftsmanship that went into the building of these things, it's easy to see why these constructions still stand today, isn't it though? We haven't had motorways that long in this country, but we're already having to renovate the bridges and strengthen them and goodness knows what. And yet that structure, 200 years old, still there, looking as good as new. You'd call that over-engineered these days, I guess. James Weeks, alright, here's James then, who's Sumac's companion. What a wonderful walk, and good to see some industrial archaeology still in situ. Yeah, very true, James. How's your coffee, by the way? You alright? Sharon Idle. Sharon pops up now and again, covering railways mainly. That viaduct stroke aqueduct reminds me to some extent of the Chethlin viaduct that used to be part of the Linton and Barnstaple Railway, and hopefully will be again when they finally rebuilt that section of it in the years to come. Well, yeah, let's hope. We're all for that. What an amazing ramble. I take it that was the Teffrey Aqueduct. It was indeed, Sharon, yeah. Bet you got it in one. And Paul says, from West Country Wanderings, another channel worth a visit. I remember seeing the Teffrey Viaduct when travelling on the Newquay branch line below. At that time, pre-internet. Is there pre-internet? Must have been. Pre-internet, I did wonder what it was for. I couldn't work out how it was on a different route and elevation entirely to the Newquay branch. Yeah, you see that, you think, well, that's a rail bridge, what's it doing up there? Brilliant. Vishengo, which is Richard, a brilliant find, and as you point out, the sheer size of granite blocks makes you wonder how they shifted them out to these remote places. I mean, what must they weigh, those things? A tremendous weight. And not only did they transport them there, which must have been hard enough, but they had to actually then build with them. Wooden scaffolding, rope and tackle. Amazing, absolutely amazing. Peter Smith says, what a contrast. 1 minute we're strolling through woods that looks as if they've never seen a human footprint, and then wham, confronted by a structure of immense proportions. Should be a World Heritage Site. Peter, no one here is going to argue with that, I don't suppose. Why isn't it a World Heritage Site? I mean, there's so much original stuff there. We'll complain when it's gone. Jim Nichols from New Zealand. Well, Jim. Amazing how the viaduct was a private venture. Yes, somebody had to fund all that. Privately, not from government. And the stonework should be as famous as the pyramids of Egypt. Well, not exactly on the same scale, but yeah, I get your point. They both required immense skill to build. Wonderful. Rodney Masters. Our Rodney. Makes me smile as I get started. On the 12-mile Newbury to Lambourne branch line, closed in 1960, one of the few remaining features nearing the latter terminus was a 120-metre twin row of well-preserved sleeper posts. Sleeper posts, oh, we love those. Unfortunately, they were, in recent weeks, dug out by a new landowner. Oh. Not that I attach any blame to him or her, because they likely had no idea of what the post represented. Just wait while the traffic dies down. Rush hour. I've walked this stretch hundreds of times, but never thought to take a photograph because I reckon the post would always be there. Yeah, true. Accordingly, I can hear Ron deservedly admonishing, "You stupid boy." In true Captain Mainwaring style. Oh, killer. Okay, the film last week then. Again, this got a few people stirred up with memories, which is wonderful. Andrew Merriman, our technical expert, was actually worried because he said he didn't have the technical specs for Kemble and he was a little bit worried that he'd let people down. Andrew, we're all family here, don't worry. He says, "Boy Ron, what a wonderful Careford station, a rare gem where the modern does not overpower the original features. I have to apologise to yourself and anyone who looks forward to my post that I know very little about Kemble. But I have found a few facts for you. The line from Swindon to Kemble opened in 31st of May 1841, and then Andrew goes on in typical Andrew style and fills in all the historical details he could lay his hands on. Brilliant, brilliant, well done. In the same vein, Trev Joyce. Trev keeps popping up now, doesn't he? Giving us his history of the area and history of Kemble. Brilliant read. Please read Trev's comment in full, because so much interesting information in that, like why was the tunnel built? Why was the tunnel built where it was built? And the lady that wouldn't allow development on her land unless they agreed not to serve alcoholic beverages. There's some fascinating stuff in there, well worth a read. Thanks, Trev. The hairy golfer Simon. Simon was interested in the jumbo jets that we saw there at the end, the British Airways laid up waiting to be scrapped. As to the 747s, I believe will prove to be a mistake too. I was coming back from New York in 2002 and a passenger was missing. So we had to taxi back to the terminal and have their luggage removed. Yeah, that's the standard form, isn't it? We left New York an hour late. As we got up, the pilot came on the speaker and announced he would put his foot down. Is that a technical term then, Simon, is it, in aeronautical terms? He'd put his foot down and get us back up to London on time. This he did. That's not you up there now, is it, Trev? This he did. I've never seen the speed of an aircraft so high, 670 miles per hour. I reckon you must have had a bit of a push from the jet stream there then, Simon. We arrived 10 minutes early, a whole 70 minutes, chopped off a 7.5-hour flight. I'll bet the modern two-engine jobs can't do that. In fact, into the wind, I've seen those as low as 475 miles an hour. Yeah, there you go. And I think Simon probably tops it off nicely by saying that's progress backwards. Yeah, progress backwards. Certainly ain't moving forward. Morris Johnson. In the early 70s, myself and 2 colleagues from work used to travel over the railways that were subject to the Beeching Acts. I remember Kemble very well. The water tower then had another water tower on top of the one that's still there, much higher up and much smaller. Did I get that right? Yeah, I think that's about right. Also at Kemble Station we met the station master, who was very informative, and I remember him telling us that a pipeline ran from Kemble under the tracks down to Swindon to provide water for the works, because that was the main GWR works, wasn't it, Swindon, excuse me. That was the main works there, wasn't it? I can't remember, I've heard that before. I can't remember if they did it because they didn't have water at Swindon, enough water, so they had to top it up, or whether they didn't like paying the prices that they were being charged. Excuse me. It was one or t'other, but you imagine the job of installing a pipe between Kemble and Swindon, at least 13 miles long. Crikey me, that's amazing. I guess they've now. I guess now they've gone. This pipeline has gone too. I don't know. Thanks for the memory, says Morris. Perhaps the town uses it. I don't know. Interesting. If you want to know all about that water supply and more details again of Kemble and those water towers, Philip Pankhurst, read Philip's post, read his comments. Brilliant work on there, telling you all about the pipe and the water tower and the structure on top of it, which I reckon was probably there to provide a head of water to make sure that it got as far as Swindon. I would think. I don't know about the elevations and what have you there, but perhaps they needed that little bit of extra height to give them the pressure. Could be, couldn't it? Anyway, read Philip's notes. Wonderful. Thank you, Philip. You're a star. Malcolm Richardson says, it'd be wonderful to see the platform in use again if or when plans to reopen the branch line to Cirencester come into fruition. They're talking about opening it again and then making it into a light railway. The problem is they're talking about it, and they've been talking about it for goodness knows how long. And we don't seem to be getting anywhere other than the talking stage. I hope to pay a visit en route to Cirencester later this year. Your video has whetted my appetite. Good. Get you out there in the fresh air, that's what we need. Wonderful. John M. Moore. Martin. I regularly use the station for business trips to London. Oh, well done. Even earlier than that, in the 1950s, I recall the little Tetbury branch train running parallel to the road between Tetbury and Cirencester. The first person that I know of on there, Martin, that remembers that. It's amazing. I've never seen anybody before. It must have been a wonderful sight, chugging along in that beautiful scenery, parallel to the road. Yeah, wonderful. James Weeks again then. James from Canada. What a beautiful station. I remember being amazed by the water tower back in 2004 when I transferred to a bus at Kemble to continue on to Tetbury. You see, we have to watch James. He lives in Canada, but he sneaks over here if we don't keep our eye on him. You're most welcome, James. Rice. Peter Smith. Continuing my occasional series of useless information. Peter decided to enhance the channel with a section on useless information. Brilliant. Thanks for that, Peter. He says, of which I know you are a fan. I am indeed, yes, I can't deny it. I'm a fan of that. Kemble was the local station for General Sir Brian Robertson, sometimes chairman of the Transport System and the British Transport Commission, which was the holding company for the post-war nationalised transport system, comprising British Railways, British Road Services and British Waterways. An important man indeed, yeah, blimey, certainly was. The running joke was that the 8-something train to Paddington, which Sir Brian used regularly, was never late. I bet it wasn't. Never mind everything else, get it out of the way. Incidentally, his successor was a name you might have heard of, Richard Beeching. Wow, there you go. Train driver Rob. Rob must have been on duty just before or just after he wrote this, because he says, another great video of a station I will be stopping at later today. Well done, Rob. Your observation about the stone cutting is correct. I thought it looked a bit unstable to me. An awful lot of it was dug out and strengthened back in 2007 after one of my colleagues derailed there on the last Swindon to Cheltenham service due to a rock fall. Ooh, luckily no one was injured. Yeah, that could have ended worse, couldn't it? If it was the last Swindon Cheltenham service, then I guess that was in the dark as well. Blimey, that really could have ended badly. It was in the days when the line to Swindon and from Kemble was single line. Therefore, there was no danger from passing trains. Wow. Thanks for that insight, Rob. Love to hear from you. By the way, if you see us Parkinsons walks people out and about when you're driving the train, give us a toot, would you? You'll know this Parkinson's walks, people, because we'll be grovelling around in the hedge looking for old posts and areas. Well done, thanks to Rob. Michael Miller says, a beautiful station, a peaceful contrast to world events at the moment. Yeah. Yeah, it's all a bit mad out there, isn't it? PB143 says that water tower would likely have fed columns at the platform end as water columns. Of course they would, yes, I hadn't thought of that. Initially I looked at it and thought, well, if you had to get from the upline to the water tower, that would take quite a bit of manoeuvring. But of course it would have been water columns at the end of the platforms, an underground pipe into the water tower. Yeah, obvious, isn't it, when you think about it? Bishengo, Richard, thanks for an interesting film. I wonder why they kept the track in situ on the curved platform Cirencester branch, as it appears to be truncated before the platform end. Andrew Merriman steps in. The Cirencester branch platform track could be used for stabling purposes. It looks as if at 21:05 on the film, the signal, we see the rear of it in front of the train, has a position 4 indicator, which is a row of 5 lights at 45 degrees to right. And Andrew then carries on and explains all about the signalling for those sorts of areas and the procedure for using them, and amazing detail, Andrew, for someone that knows nothing about it. Wonderful stuff, thanks Andrew. David Lang wanted to know how far you can walk along the lines from Kemble to Tetbury and Cirencester. David, I don't know. I've walked sections of both. Unfortunately, quite a few landowners around about the area have adopted the railway and doing their best to keep us out. So, the answer is, Dave, I don't know. Only, but very little, I'm guessing. Rodney Masters. Rodney again closes today's file. Good morning, Ron. I guess, but for the missing rung on that rusty ladder, there was enormous temptation to climb the water tower. Rodney, you've got the same opinion of me as a responsible adult as my wife, I think. Would I consider such a thing? I'll leave you to answer that. Right, film club this week, Riding the Rails. Yeah, we're off riding the rails. You might remember this film previously. It's time we had a train ride, isn't it? So we'll do that in film club in just a few moments. Next week's film, Winter Moods. I know. Well, we've just got rid of winter, or it's on its way out. It's March, which is the meteorological start of spring. Although I understand the proper start of spring is the 21st of March, my sister's birthday. But this is Winter Mood, so we can look back with nostalgia at it now. And apologies to Jim Nichols and everybody in the Southern Hemisphere, because I know you're going the other way. But, sorry about that, lads, but anyway, we're going to do that walk then next week, if you'll come with me. Bring your walking boots. Time you were out giving them a little bit of an airing, isn't it? So bring your walking boots. I'll see you there next week then. Don't be late. A wonderful day out on the Gloucestershire and Warwickshire Railway. We bought our ticket at Winchcombe and then we just rattled up and down the rails all day. Different trains, different carriages. Just a lovely day out. You're most welcome to join us. Of course, we have to start with the obligatory cup of tea in the Winchcombe Railway Station. British Rail tea. new shed built, look. Well, it will be, yeah, it's just come out in the urine. No problem.
It's not loud. Quiet now.